Hey guys, it is Melissa and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Melissa Ellen and I do true crime videos. My intention is to raise awareness on missing person, unsolved cases, and things along those lines. So if you like those kind of videos, then make sure you hit subscribe because I'm here for you. Today, I always try to say the same thing and it always like, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, today we're going to talk about the Bakersfield 3. The thing is, if you're not aware, I'm actually here in Bakersfield and I have gotten, I say a lot because I got like 10 requests, which to me is like a lot, and to cover this case. It's ever evolving though. There's so much going on. There's so many twists and stories, and I just thought like I'll put together a quick little like overview timeline of events to kind of, for those that are not familiar with the case, that they can be like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. And then I will direct you guys to resources if you want to get like really far into the nitty gritty. The problem for me is that when it started getting down into the really nitty gritty and like the speculation and conspiracy theories type thing, you know, where they're like, hey, is so-and-so involved? When it started getting into that, that's a little difficult for me. I am local. It's such speculation that for me, it doesn't fit my channel to talk about things that are not known to be true at all, or they're not even like, they're just so far-fetched that like I'm not comfortable with that on my channel as it is. Then there's the issue that I'm local, so now we start getting into like, when I started looking at Facebook, I was like, oh I know that person, or oh, they know so-and-so, and I'm like, never mind, like I'm just like, I'm gonna dip out really fast. So this video is going to be an overview of the Bakersfield 3 case, just to let you guys know what I found online. Again, I mean no disrespect in any of my videos. This is a passion project of mine. I want to help out with missing person and unsolved cases. It's just something I want to do, and I hope that this does help to shed light on the case. And most importantly, we are talking, there is still a missing girl by the name of Baylee Despot. I definitely want to spread some awareness around Baylee Despot, especially, kind of get this nationwide, because she is missing and she has not been confirmed to have been taken. She has not been confirmed to have run away, and she has not been confirmed to have been harmed. So at this point, I don't know anything more than anyone else, and there's a possibility that she is out there and she could be found. So definitely want to be talking about her. And so I'm going to explain to you guys, the way that I decided to do this is to do just an overview video of the Bakersfield 3 case, why they are linked together, and just mostly spread their photo. So if you know anything, or you know anyone, there is rewards being offered in all 3 cases, and there is a phone number to call. There's a secret witness hotline. So there's a lot that can be done for anyone who is local. And just finally, let me say, this is my research that I do online. This is what I found, okay? There's a lot more information, and you're probably going to watch this video if you're familiar, and you'll be like, oh, what about this? Bear with me. This is just kind of an overview, and I will send you guys in the right direction if you want to get more involved in helping with this case, or if you just want to dig into the speculation. That's fine too. I'll make sure I give you guys the resources for that. So thanks again so much for watching. Again, if you guys like, true crime videos, missing persons, things like that, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and let's jump right into the video. So the Bakersfield 3, who are they? What is going on? This all started in early 2018 when 3 separate cases came into the Bakersfield Police Department. You had Micah Holsonbake that went missing at the end of March of 2018. And then you had James Kulstad, who was shot in front of someone's home. We'll get to that in a minute. In the beginning of April of 2018. And then at the end of March of 2018, Baylee Despot went missing. In August of 2018, there was an arm discovered in the Kern River, and it was determined in December of 2018 that that arm belonged to Micah Holsonbake. And at that time, they did deem Micah Holsonbake to be deceased. They do not believe that he is living any longer based on the condition of the forearm that they found. When this case started to break, as a local person, there were talks being said about arms dealers and illegal gun manufacturing, and it was just a really weird story because you had these photos of these 3 different people who started to pop up. And of course, obviously they figured out it was related. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but as it started coming out that these 3 people all knew each other or knew of each other or ran with the same people, and that they all had these records and they were involved in drugs or guns or things along those lines. The thing is, and I don't, like, this is so judgy, and like everyone thought it, so it's cool because I'm going to say it and it's true. When their photos popped up in the area of town that they lived in, everyone went, huh? Because that's not what you were expecting, okay? The amount of guns that were being talked about and the amount of drugs that were being talked about, the assumption was that we were dealing with like gang. And so you expected to see a photo of someone that looks like they have that kind of rep sheet. Am I getting it? Is that making sense? You know what I mean? Instead, you have these like 3 nice looking people who look like they live in a nice area of town with nice stuff. And you're like, what are you doing? What's going on? Okay, so that started coming about. And then they started to realize that they all have a common relation. They're all somehow dealing with these people. These guns are being found. Some arrests are being made. And the story started to develop that something's going on and these 3 are related. Like what happened to them is related. And that's where it kind of is in some things have come out. This case, there's 3 podcasts that I've listened to. The True Crime Junkies, they're on Facebook. They are going to be doing a podcast. I'll make sure I link that. There has been a lot of coverage by a local news reporter by the name of Olivia LaVoice. I will put her, what she has shared. There is the Bakersfield 3 Facebook group that is ran by the mothers of the Bakersfield 3. There's also a couple of other Facebook groups. So I will make sure I link all of those groups down for you guys. So if you want to get more details and dig in and, look at some of the speculation that's out there, then I will share that with you guys because we're going to stick to mostly facts. Okay, let's talk about Micah Holsonbake first. Micah went missing on March 23rd of 2018. According to what I have figured out, he's a classic story. And I hate to say that, but it's so true. This was a guy that was doing really well. He was on the football team. He was in debate. Like, he was doing things in life. He got into banking. He ended up joining after he went to Hardy University for a year. And then he ended up joining the Navy. And then when he was in the Navy, he had to be medically discharged. Apparently, he was having growths on his throat. And these were incredibly painful. I saw a friend of his said that they were so painful, like he couldn't breathe, he couldn't sleep, like it was really, really bad. So not just your like little bit of a deal, like this was a big problem. And so he ends up being medically discharged. He comes back home. He's working as a banker and he starts having surgeries. And I believe that I saw that he even kept going and got like his broker's license. Like this kid was, I say kid, I mean, he wasn't a kid anymore, but like he was really dedicated and going places. So he's doing his thing and he starts to have surgeries on these growths on his throat. And the pain is so ridiculous, they're prescribing him pain pills. According to what people are saying online, and it seems to fit with what kind of the family has said too, is that as a result of that, he eventually started using street drugs. And his family said that pretty much the last year of his life, he wasn't the same person he used to be. He used to be, just fun and outgoing and just really the life of the party. And while they still saw a lot of that side of him, and he was still like this really loyal, good friend who would help anyone and do anything for anybody, they were also starting to see an uglier side of him. The last time that he was seen, reportedly, he had lost his cell phone. So he had his mother, I believe, take him and his friend to go get new cell phones. And then he wanted to stay there, or he wanted money for a hotel. And his mom ended up dropping him and a friend off over by some houses. Like it's described as by a dumpster, but it's like in a housing area and not on a good side of town. Now, at that time, after he was dropped off, Micah went missing. The police department assumed that Micah might have left on his own accord. One of the things that was going on, and his father, Lance Holsonbake, said that he was acting paranoid. He thought that people were following him. Somebody was coming to get him. Anyone else hate Bakersfield weather? Like it's so hot, but then it like changes for a day and then we like get rain out of nowhere and suddenly like I'm sneezing. It sucks. Like just roll with me. So the thing that his father said is they just didn't believe that that's what happened. Like they didn't think that he took off, but they did say that they had warned him, like, you need to get away from these people. You need to stop hanging out with them. Like whatever's going on, like something's up with you and you're not okay and you're not safe. And he basically told his dad that like he was in debt to these people. There was nothing he could do. Like he had to keep doing whatever it was that he was doing. We're going to get into that, but kind of get the gist of what was going on with him at that time. Okay, so now let's talk about James Kulstad. James Kulstad was shot and killed on April 8th of 2018 in front of a home in the Rosedale area of Bakersfield. For those of you that are not familiar, it's so funny to me because I see people do this in videos when they're talking about other areas, and now that it's my area, it's weird. But like, let me try to explain it in a way that other people not from here would get it. So you have Bakersfield, and like it is just big and big and big and spread out. Like it used to be small. Like where I live, like these used to be fields that I partied in high school. Like yeah, like it's different. You know what I mean? So our town has spread and spread and spread, and as it has spread, we've started naming areas of town. And Rosedale is one of those areas that's been named. It's in the northwest part of Bakersfield, and it is a pretty nice area of town. These are the newer homes. These are the bigger homes with the nicer schools. So I wouldn't say like it's a rich area. Like we're not talking like a private gated communities only in Beverly Hills, but we are definitely talking the nice area of town where you expect to hear about car break-ins and you know, where people are stealing because that's what the good stuff is. Like, honestly, that's kind of how it is. You don't expect to hear many murders. I did cover, just so you know, I'm going to pop it up now. In 2014, there was a murder in the Rosedale area of a father of 4 by the name of Matt Odom. And I've been very passionate about sharing that case. So I'm going to pop that video in as well because this is in the Bakersfield area. And if you know anything, there's also a reward and the secret witness tip hotline, however you say that. But I'm going to share that case as well. Okay, so but in Rosedale, like when Matt was murdered in front of his home, like that was a huge deal. Everyone was talking about it because that just doesn't happen in that area of town. So when this started happening, when James Kulstad was shot in 2018 at 2 a.m. in a nice Rosedale neighborhood, everyone started, oh my God, how could a drive-by shooting happen over there? What had happened was James, again, great guy, just the life of the party, good looking, got his head on his shoulders, a ladies' man, like he's living his best life. He was also a very smart, dedicated father. He, at one point in time, had a skateboard shop. He even got a patent or a trademark. Patent, is that the same thing? Whatever. Called Torch Trunks. At one point in time when his daughter was little, he made some no-mess bibs. So he was like an entrepreneur. He was driven. He was going. He was doing things in life. His daughter, Cameron, I'm going to guess she graduated within the last couple of years. I didn't say her age, but I'm guessing she's in the around 20-ish. She tells just the most amazing stories of what a great father her dad was. James was dedicated. He was there for her. Her mother had passed away when she was only 1.5 years old in a car accident. And James stepped up and was there for her. He had another daughter, which I'm not going to talk about because she doesn't seem to be publicly involved. But Cameron was on Dr. Phil and just really talked about her dad and how much she loved him, how he would pick her up from school. And he was just a really fun, happy dad. But she will also say that a couple of years back, he had gotten a car accident and he was prescribed pain medicine. And just a sucky story, right? As a result of that car accident, he was prescribed prescription pills. The pain was really bad and he kept going. Eventually he was on fentanyl, and then eventually, according to what I found online, he was on heroin. I don't know if that's exactly what he was on, but it does appear that he started to go through some struggles and he was messing with street drugs. Similar to Micah, he wasn't himself anymore. It doesn't seem that he was letting his family know exactly what kind of stuff he was in. Seems that they've learned a lot about his lifestyle after the fact. But he definitely turned to be more of an aggressive, angry person. And it seems that he might have been doing some pretty harsh stuff. Like what happened with him that night is because he was collecting on a debt owed. So he seemed like he became kind of a collector for people who were doing not so good things. Is that a way to explain it? Okay. So James is now involved in this lifestyle and he's hanging out with these people and he is crossing paths with the same people that Micah's crossing paths with. And here's what happened on the night that he was killed. His brother Ryan, so we're going to talk about Ryan Kulstad, was over at a chiropractor's house. I'm not going to put up the doctor's name because I don't know how far that's gone. But this chiropractor here in Bakersfield, who has since been disbarred, no, that's what a lawyer is, lost his medical license because of drug charges and things like that. So it does seem that this was legit what was happening. So Ryan, the brother of James, is over at this doctor's house, and apparently he's eating pizza and watching a movie. I also heard that it was a party. It seems like more like it was a gathering. So there's a bunch of people over at this doctor's house, and they're all hanging out partying. And James is calling the doctor to tell the doctor, hey, I'm coming because you owe me money. He apparently owed him money for drugs and guns or drugs, whatever. But he owed him money for something. And James is like, I'm coming to get it. And the doctor tells Ryan, James's brother, deal with your brother. He better not show up here because if he shows up here, my boys are here and they're strapped. I know. To the rest of the world, like, I would freak out and like go grab my brother and like go hide. Like, we would run away. But Ryan explained it that, first of all, him and his brother weren't getting along at the time. So like he didn't want to call his brother. And number two, he didn't take it serious. He took it more of a, I don't know, machismo, pound your chest, like threats, just open, vacant threats, just because he didn't want to pay the debt. And so he didn't take it seriously. That's what Ryan says. At some point in the evening, Ryan needs to leave because he needed to take someone home. I'm not going to get into names, but according to Facebook comments, the person he was taking home is a girl, and she is the same girl that was with Micah when Micah got dropped off, or when he was buying the phones, whatever, in that day that Micah, according to Facebook comments, the same person that Ryan left to take home is the same person that Micah got dropped off with by the dumpster or wherever, okay? And I apologize that those exact like facts might be wrong. It was just a little, some of it gets a little mixed up, you know what I mean? But this is kind of the gist where we're going. So Ryan leaves. Ryan says that when he was leaving, so he's in like a neighborhood, he says that he pulls out and he goes to turn out of the neighborhood. At that time, he sees his brother James pulling in. He then thought that he saw James pulls over to the side of the road, like behind a trailer. And James pulls over. Ryan thinks that James is going to like flip a U-turn and come back. But then as Ryan is getting out of the neighborhood, he hears the shots. And he's like, what is that? And somebody's like, that was gunshots. He U-turns back and goes back. And that's when he sees his brother in the road and his brother passes away. So you're like me. You're like, okay, so who shot James, Ryan? Like, who shot him? Like, it's your brother. You were just there. Who shot your brother? According to Ryan, he has no idea that when he got back, he went to his brother, people scattered, the cops came, and he has no idea who pulled the trigger, who had a gun, who did it. I get, like, when Ryan was on Dr. Phil, you know, Dr. Phil, like, literally looks him right in the face. It's like, yeah, you know more. Like, he's like, no, I don't. He's like, yeah, obviously you do. Like, you were there. You were hanging with these people. You left. He got shot. You come back. You don't know who shot your brother. Like, it was right there. You were just right there. According to him, he does not. That if he knew, he would have already took care of it, or he would say. I don't know. So that's where that was at this point. And obviously people are starting to try and figure out, like, wait, the mix of people are starting to be like, wait, Micah's missing. Now James gets shot. But the direct link between those two wasn't as strong. And then we have April 25th of 2018, and we have a girl by the name of Baylee Despot goes missing. And she's a young girl out of the Rosedale area, and her picture starts going up, and she's missing. Nobody can contact her. This is when people start going, wait, hold on. Something's not right. Okay, so now let's talk about Baylee. Baylee was young. She was 20 years old when she went missing. I think Micah was 36 and James was 38. So she was the youngest. And according to her family, so she was in high school and she had big dreams of what she wanted to do, but she was kind of in that space where she didn't know what she wanted to do. She wanted to do this, she wanted to do that, she wanted to do that. I think she wanted to be in the Navy, she wanted to be a pilot. She wanted, she's young, she wants to run the world. I love it. And what had happened was when she turned 18, she got married, like instantly. And it seems that didn't work out. It wasn't a good choice. It happened immediately. The relationship apparently got, pretty brutal, and she had to file for divorce. And then I believe she got into another relationship that also just wasn't very good. It was kind of abusive, and she had to file restraining orders. So life was just starting to give her some bumps that she was starting to have to deal with. And here's how, give you this link so we can kind of make it make sense. Now, we talked about Micah Holsonbake, who went missing first. Prior to Micah and Baylee becoming friends, because they ended up becoming friends, Micah was friends with Baylee's sister, Caitlin Parent. And Caitlin didn't know that Micah and Baylee became friends until later, but this is what she said. They were friends prior, and he was a great guy, had his head on his shoulders, he was doing great things, and she started to lose touch with him around the time that his life started to make some changes. So Caitlin and Micah were friends. They lost touch because Micah kind of started to go down a different path. After they lose touch, Micah ends up being friends with Baylee, her younger sister. So now they're hanging out together. And remember we talked about what a loyal friend that Micah was and how he would help anyone. Well, Micah actually helped Baylee get that restraining order to get away from that abusive boyfriend. So now they become friends, and he's kind of there to help her. So eventually Baylee starts coming home, and she would be gone for days at a time. And she'd come home and she'd be telling her family these stories of just all these bad things she saw and all these bad people she was around. And her family's getting frustrated. Don't hang out with these people. What are you doing? Where are you going? And she would make it appear that she didn't want to be around these people, but then she would still go with them. And her family said that not only would one car pick her up, but multiple cars would pick her up. This is important because according to several sources that were involved with this group of people, that there appears to be an element of some trafficking that might be going on. So that's why I wanted to make sure I'm sharing Baylee's photo, because if there's a chance that she's been picked up and she's out there somewhere, then we want to make sure we're sharing that. So now you have this young 19-year-old, 20-year-old girl who's involved with this crowd that's doing whatever they're doing, and they're just not acting normal, and the family is very concerned. In fact, her sister Caitlin ended up moving to Texas. She just couldn't deal with it. The last thing she told her sister is, you're going to end up dead or you're going to end up harmed. You've got to get away from these people. You can't be doing this. You can't be hanging out with them. This is a bad crowd. So there were a series of events that kept happening in Baylee's life that kind of were not sending her in such a good direction. She had filed for that restraining order and got that. At some point in time, she was arrested in front of Micah's house for a drunken disorderly, not a DUI, so she wasn't driving. Something happened, though. She was arrested for that. Then, in December of 2017, things were just getting worse. She had started dating a guy by the name of Matthew Queen, who was also in his late 30s, early 40s, and much older crowd that she was hanging out with. So she starts dating this guy, Matthew, and her family is not happy about it. No, you do not need to be dating this guy. He's too old for you. He's got a rap sheet. He's got records, and it's just not seeming right. In December of 2017, they end up getting pulled over, and it's her and Matthew in the car. Now, when Baylee and Matthew Queen were pulled over, they had 2 or 3 guns in the vehicle that had no markings on them. There was drugs, there was some other things in the car. So when they were pulled over, this is hefty, this is massive charges. And they were arrested, and Baylee ended up taking a plea deal. In December, she took a plea deal to 3 years probation. Matthew's case is still outstanding because he has so many prior felonies. This is going to turn into a much bigger case. It's going to take a lot longer to deal with. So at this point, after they're arrested and she takes the plea deal, obviously her family is you need to get away from him. You do not need to be around this guy. You just got yourself into serious trouble this time. And according to her family, that's not what happened. She actually ended up moving in with him, and apparently his estranged wife too. I don't know. So she ends up moving in with Matthew Queen, and now she's living with him, and she starts to lose connection to her family in the beginning of 2018. They're not hearing from her as often. They're not able to reach her as they can't quite get a feel for what's going on in her life.
According to her mother, at one point in time, she stopped over there to drop her off a treat that she knew she liked, and she chatted with her, and then she lost touch with her, and she just couldn't even get a hold of her, and that's when she was reported missing. Police have never really named Matthew Queen as a suspect in the disappearance of Baylee, and he was pretty vocal on social media that, he loved her, he missed her, and he couldn't believe she was gone, but nobody really believed that, and, the rest of the city, they're like, no, that doesn't make any sense. This guy's involved. Something's up with him. He, 4 months later, did get a new girlfriend. That girlfriend was apparently a friend of Baylee's, and they have since had a kid. I don't know. I mean, everyone reacts differently, but, if your girlfriend is missing, getting a new girlfriend doesn't seem to be what I would do, but there's also more going on with him. Also in this time, Matthew Queen has gotten himself into more trouble. He is currently in jail right now, I believe, on a total of 13 different charges. They said that these charges are not related to the disappearance of Micah or Baylee or the shooting of James. They don't believe that it's related to this case, that he apparently kidnapped someone and held them at gunpoint and was questioning them about why they were snitching on him about guns. And then he let that person go. And then he led police on a chase where he went down into the canal and hid for 2 hours. Then they ended up going back and finding guns, not where he was hiding, but in another different place where they were led to. They found guns and drugs and paraphernalia and all this stuff. So I think it's like what everyone thinks. What has been officially said is that they do believe that something happened to Micah. And somebody dismembered him because his arm was found in the river and the rest of his body has not been found. So they do believe that someone specifically murdered Micah and dismembered him. They believe that Baylee knew what happened, and they believe that's why Baylee is missing. The belief is that either that same person harmed Baylee the same way they harmed Micah or similar, or that Baylee might have been put into some sort of trafficking to silence her or to keep her away. Because the thing about Micah is that he had told his father recently that he was building guns. That's what he told his father he was doing, and that he was afraid he was going to get hurt. Now, James, they do not believe that the same person who harmed Baylee and Micah is the same person. The reason they don't think it is that the methods of the disappearance of the two and then the dismemberment of, I feel so bad repeating these words over and over. It just hurts my heart, but I have to so we can keep it straight, okay? But the person who took the time to dismember Micah is going to be someone who's very hands-on. It's a very private thing, is the way that it was explained by the FBI profiler on Dr. Phil, that method of killing is very private and very personal, whereas James being shot in the street is a very sign of I wanted to say respect, but it's total disrespect. But that's someone who's brazen. They're out there yeah, I did that and everyone knows I did that, but nobody's going to turn on me. So you have two very different types of people. So they do not think the same person. But what they do believe is, yeah, they're all in the same circle and it's all about the same thing. It's all about these guns and these drugs. It's all about that is bringing this to happen. That's what they know for sure. And Matthew taking some guy out into nowhere to, jack him up and question him about ratting on him for the guns, it just tells you it's all related. It's all in there. The Dr. Phil, I will link it below as well. There are some YouTubes that have a pretty good amount of the clip of the show. And the profiler explains in detail how they think that there's a main person, there's enforcers, there's friends of friends, there's all these different people that play a role. And I will link a Facebook group down below that actually kind of breaks down who they think some of these people are. Remember, that part is just speculation. That is just talking, just, going through what you think, and that is helpful for some people, but just remember that it is purely speculation at this point. That is not reported on facts from the police. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So I think that gives you guys a full overview of what is the Bakersfield Three and who are the Bakersfield Three? What is going on? Do I think that we have some crazy out of control, like mob cartel style drug ring going on? Probably not. But do I think this is very serious and that our young girls are being affected? Does it make me nervous for my kids? Would they get involved with these people? Do they not know? Yeah, absolutely. Because I can tell you right now, as I went through Facebook and looked up a lot of the names, I did see some people who were friends of friends that definitely gave me pause for concern, because I'm thinking, why is this young girl friends with this person? Like, yeah. And I think that we all worry about that. And I think the best thing we can do is just keep an eye on your kids while they're in your home, and then they move out and there's nothing you can do. So that's what I have for you guys in regards to this case. I hope you understand that I try to come from a place of just overview and giving information. I don't want to speculate too much on this case. I just don't. It's too close to home. It's too open still because there is a lot of unknown information. I think that this case is going to have some big breakthroughs very soon. I think that's great. People are going to start coming forward. If Matthew Queen is truly this involved, as it appears that he is, now that he is incarcerated, and the longer he is incarcerated, pending all of these charges, I think the more people are going to come forward and start talking what's going on, who did what, and put an end to this. It just seems senseless to have this many lives in this short of a time affected. We just don't need that kind of crap in our town. So I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for watching. I say this at the end of every video I ever make. Hug your babies, hug your loves. Life is literally precious. Enjoy every minute of every day. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.